when we got here today, one of the things I said to you or asked you.
Well, you said it to me.
Well, no, we're sitting there and we're
talking down to me.
Well, I mean, it's what I do. Right? No, we're like, okay, Jrue Holiday. Let's talk this out from a logistics standpoint. Money, Klay Thompson, and at one point I said, if after all of this convincing everybody about Chris Paul and Draymond and Chris are sitting in a tree and they're working out together and everybody's backtracking on everything they've said about Chris Paul for the last, all that stuff. If you're going to do all that, if you then trade him, does that sort of leave you looking foolish, disingenuous, all of that? The answer that you guys gave me, which I don't disagree with and I still don't, but the answer you guys collectively gave me was, this is pro sports. There's no time for worrying about that stuff. Look at how many times a team has done one and flipped and done the other. Most recent example, Jordan Poole. We expect him to be here for the next 4 years.
Look how many times Chris Paul got traded over the course of 13 days. The answer is twice. So if you then trade him today, Chris Paul would have been traded thrice. That's 3 times over the course of basically 3.5 months. So, yeah, it's what happens in pro sports. And when you're dealing with a 38-year-old making $30 million, whose contract is maybe more valuable than his basketball ability, then yeah, you get dealt.
So Monty Poole just wrote something for NBC Sports Bay Area that speaks to, at minimum, the question that I was asking. And I think has now legitimized the topic, if you will.
I love Monty.
Monty's fantastic. Title of the article is Why Holiday's Trade Availability Presents a Dilemma for the Warriors.
It's a pickle.
Well, he writes that there's no debating whether or not Jrue Holiday would make the Warriors better. And the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. He says the dilemma is in the form of Chris Paul. He's 38. He's one of the 10 oldest players in the league. Future Hall of Famer, been with the Warriors for all of 12 weeks, and any attempt to bring in Holiday would have to include him. The Warriors have done a commendable job of selling Paul to themselves and to a skeptical fan base that has enjoyed nothing more than to see him lose. He's participated in numerous workouts with new teammates, countless conversations with Golden State Warriors coaches, all in preparation for the season, all to massage this entire picture to one another, to themselves, to the fan base. In other words, a lot of work has gone into the idea of, no, it's okay.
No.
Chris can be a Warrior, and actually we've convinced ourselves it's going to be really good and it's going to work. So all this for 12 weeks, and then poof.
Gone.
You're a Blazer. Do you look the fool? I mean, my quick answer would be yes, but I don't care.
Mine would be no, because you got better. And
Okay.
I don't think you look the fool. Now, does Draymond in particular, quote, look the fool? Does he look the fool when it comes to Rodney Magruder? And the clip we played earlier in the week when he's basically burying Rodney Magruder as a fake tough guy, and now Rodney Magruder is in camp to try to earn the final roster spot, and Draymond Green last week goes on a podcast and says, Rodney Magruder, he's a professional, he's a veteran, and all this other stuff. I don't think any of that stuff matters at all. Like, Chris Paul is the enemy. Chris Paul's our friend. If they trade Chris Paul, and if Draymond came out and said, I never thought it was going to work, that's fine. It's just, these are words.
I understand what you're saying, and it's not that I disagree, but I do, again, I want to legitimize the dilemma because it does, and Monty points this out, it makes you look indecisive. You've done a lot of work to tell us that this is the perfect thing. You turn around and deal him, it's like, we weren't really being honest with you. Now Jrue Holiday's on the team.
Right.
There's something
I get that
there.
part of it.
Like the way that he wrote it, the potential downside in shedding CP3 so quickly, It's probably, it's probably more of a seamless fit into the culture, but it would potentially smear all the breathless praise and paint the front office a deep shade of indecision. That's how Monty writes it. And I get that that's a thing now. Is it worth not getting him? No. Could we get over it? Sure. We'd actually celebrate. But at minimum, it does make the Warriors offseason look disingenuous. It does.
I don't think so. I think that it paints the Warriors front office with a shade of redecision. And I might have made up a word, and I'm not sure if it is a word, but you get my point. Because when you traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, you didn't know that Jrue Holiday was going to be available. If you knew back then when you dealt Jordan Poole that you might have been able to spin Jordan Poole into Jrue Holiday, you wouldn't have traded for Chris Paul. You would have waited and traded for Jrue Holiday. But you never know what's going to happen. So in the moment, you realize we cannot have Draymond and Jordan Poole on the same team. And you know what I think paints the front office a certain kind of way is when the new general manager says, yeah, Jordan Poole's under contract for 4 years and hopefully a lot longer than that. And then 41 hours and 12 minutes later, he's traded. That, to me, is a worse look than what this would be.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't quite see it that way, which is this. When you did that with Jordan Poole, I think the world now understands you had to.
I get it.
You didn't have a choice. This feels a little bit more like a choice. You grabbed one of the players that we dislike the most, and you went and took us on a journey. The Warriors became, and I did this over the summer when we got to Mexico. You know, when you arrive somewhere and they're like, hey, I give you a discount on all those activities, all you got to do is come see this one quick timeshare presentation.
Oh, it's so great.
All you got to do is just give me 1 hour. And we'll give you no obligation.
We got parasailing, we got fishing, we got scuba and more.
You can do whatever you want.
All of it.
In fact, we'll comp it. I was an idiot. I bought into it at 50%. They would have comped it. We'll comp the whole thing. You get free breakfast and just listen to our spiel. And then, as you know, it lasts more than an hour.
Yeah, boy,
you get to the third hour, and you're like, that breakfast really wasn't that good. And this discount ain't that good either. But you're taking us on a journey of Chris Paul's a Warrior. We actually love him. He's amazeballs. He's a Hall of Famer. He's going to fit because Chris Paul fits in any situation because he's so great. You took us on that journey. If you then flip him the second you get an opportunity, yeah, it's banana in the tailpipe. Of course it is. I forgive you. This is what I want to say today. Because listen, we're blessed and privileged to have voices with these microphones and be one of the two of the people who lead this conversation in the Bay Area about sports. If Monty is writing this, it is because someone within the organization has expressed this concern to him. So I'd like to speak back to the organization. Hey, Warriors. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you.
Especially if you wind up with a better player.
Do the deal.
Yeah.
It's okay. We actually know that you are a big public organization with PR professionals who are paid well to sort of shape the narrative. We get it. That's sports. That's life. It's okay. Do the deal. We will help you wipe the egg off of your face.
See, I don't think there is egg.
They clearly do.
Well,
they're worried about it. Monty didn't come up with this on his own.
I get it. And Monty is dialed in.
Monty had a conversation with somebody.
His headline is why the trade availability presents a dilemma for the Warriors. And the dilemma is that they are chasing a fix for a problem that they didn't know that they had.
Correct.
And the problem is young star Jordan Poole doesn't fit with what you're trying to do. And so you tried to fix it. And you tried to fix it by being ahead of the curve, and you brought in Chris Paul. And I'm sure when they made the trade privately, there was a certain hold your nose element to it because you knew you brought in a guy who had not ego questions, but he has an ego. Whatever you think of Chris Paul, you know that the fan base doesn't necessarily love him. You called him one of your 5 most sports-hated players in the NBA.
No doubt.
Long before even this deal was on the table. We talked about the 5 players that you dislike the most and he was in that 5. I don't know if he was at the top. I think you had
he ain't
Dylan
fifth.
Brooks.
He ain't fifth.
No, but you had Brooks and you had Harden and you had a few other real bad guys.
I mean, I'm trying to think if they're like
Westbrook was on your list.
Brooks is 1. Russ is probably 2.
I think you had Harden, James Harden.
But Chris is ahead of James.
No, but Chris was on there.
Yeah. Oh,
so
that's what I mean.
To Monty's
Chris
point about
3.
a dilemma, the dilemma is you brought in a guy that the majority of the fan base doesn't like, and then you spent 12 weeks making everybody feel okay about it. And so now if you then ship him out for another player, there is a little bit of that banana in the tailpipe sentiment. But if you're a Warrior fan and you look at the end result, which is you turn Jordan Poole into Jrue Holiday, you got to be okay with it.
I'm with you. It's pro sports, and what's the rule that everybody always goes by? Go win, and all is going to be forgiven.
Yeah.
So if this makes you a better team, you do it. I get it, though. If I'm Draymond Green, I'm sitting here going, yo, dudes, really? Because let's be honest. Let's be real here. Let's keep
Are you going to keep it real?
I'm going to keep it real.
Keep it a buck.
You're telling me that Draymond, just out of nowhere, he's like, you know what I want to do this summer? I want to do podcasts about how I actually am okay with Chris Paul. You don't think the organization went, all right, listen.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Draymond.
Hold on a minute. You're telling me that the organization
Yes, I am.
got to Draymond Green,
I'm telling you that
the captain of new media,
Yes.
and said, Draymond, I got a podcast idea for you. You love on CP3. And Draymond said, no problem, guys. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'm not buying it.
For $100 million. Yes.
I'm not buying it.
Plus, by the way, it ain't that easy. It's not even that simple. Of course he would do that. He's going to have to go play with Chris. They've got to be teammates. He wants to win. There's only one way to succeed. Make this work. Hey, Day. Here's the microphone. Why don't we start a new narrative about Chris Paul? You think Draymond wanted to do that?
Absolutely.
No, he didn't.
They are cut from the same cloth.
No, he had to.
I don't buy that.
I buy
Nobody tells Draymond what to do.
It's not telling him what to do. It's what's obvious. It doesn't even need to be said. You're telling me that you now don't buy what Draymond has said for 11 years, which is that I don't like that guy? He doesn't like that guy.
Well,
He's now got no choice but to like that guy.
I think that he has always liked him in terms of respecting his game, but
That's not what I heard.
Well,
that's not what his words have been.
Does he like LeBron James because he punched him in the groin in the NBA Finals?
That's different. That's within competition. Yes, they're friends.
Sure.
Have you ever heard him say something nasty about LeBron James?
No, but I saw him punch the man in the genitals.
That's different. They're just trying to win.
Right.
It is.
Right.
It's different. They're
Okay.
trying to win.
I just think that the whole like-dislike narrative when it comes to especially NBA players is wildly overstated.
I'm telling you what his words were. Like he's
right. I'm telling you what his actions were.
Yeah, but it's not like, again, within the heat of competition, we've watched brothers try to beat each other. Like,
right.
They want nothing more than to win, which is why Draymond changed his tune, because he wants to go win.
Well, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Does Jordan Poole dislike, or does Draymond Green dislike Jordan Poole?
Yes.
See, even though his words were, "This is my brother,"
but those were his previous words.
Gotcha.
Those are his not anymore. What were his postseason words this year? He ripped him on the way out the door. Like I don't know, man.
I just think that it's more complicated. With this individual, it's not as easy as I don't like you.
No, maybe,
and the rest of
maybe it is. But the point remains that the organization has gone on a PR tour, and it was a tour that has no destination if they trade him before they even play a game. So at minimum, it was a waste of time. At maximum, it was wildly embarrassing, and obviously they are thinking about this and dealing with it. Or else Monty Poole and his high-level conversations do not lead to this article.
Sure, and use the word dilemma.
Yes. And in fact, I would even say it this way, and this is why I want to talk about it so badly. There's a decent chance that Monty got a phone call, and they're like, hey, we got to talk about this.
Hey, it's Tiger.
Put this out there so we can take the temperature. So 888-957-9570, let's take the temperature.
What's your temperature?
If they make this move, is it embarrassing? You as a fan, are you like, are you snickering at the Warriors for taking us on a Chris Paul ride that went to nowhere? You ever been to Winchester Mystery House?
Sure.
Staircase to nowhere.
It's a fantastic voyage.
Call it a Chris Paul from now on.
I'm trying to think what other ride where you just sit there and everything happens around you and it feels like you're actually going places. Not Space Mountain.
Star Tours.
Star Tours is the one. Thank you.
Star Tours.
Space Mountain is like, wow, you're in this roller coaster in this house. That's crazy.
You're just bouncing. You're just in a seat. It's
right.
Bouncing around.
But it feels like you're going all kinds of places.
Because of what you're looking at.
It's wild.
Right.
Fun ride though.
It is fun.
Which is what this has been. This has been a fun ride. And
Actually, I wouldn't go on this ride again.
I would absolutely go on this ride again if it ends with Chris Paul going out the door. I don't think it's embarrassing at all. I think that this is just the Warriors doing business. I am struck by one thing, Mark, and I'm going to refer you to, today's Thursday, Tuesday, when I read through the Warriors promotional schedule.
Yes.
And I believe I said at the end of it, it's a little weird that there isn't a CP3 related item. And here we are on September 28th. And, there's a Draymond broadcaster bobble. There's a Stephen Clay this, a golfer this, and there's a couple of Steins, and there's a bucket hat. And there's nothing. Wiggins has some memorabilia, some paraphernalia.
Yeah.
There's no CP3 related items.
Which either means they're not committed or they know that the fans aren't, that's not what a fan wants.
Or both.
I don't want a Chris Paul bobblehead.
You damn right you do.
I want them to win this year, so I'll grin and bear it for crying out loud. But I don't want any Chris Paul paraphernalia in my house.
First 10,000 fans get a CP see you later bobblehead.
Exactly. You got a Chris Paul bobblehead on the schedule? I'll go next week.
Oh,
Thanks.
Wow, that's hurtful.
I'm just saying.
Thanks.
We're Warrior fans.
Which is why you love Chris Paul.
And by the way, man, this is the most fascinating article I've read this month.
Talk about the Monty Pool?
Well, let's think about this for a minute. Again, Let's use the words.
You talk, I'll read, because I'm still getting through it.
The headline, why Holiday's trade availability presents a dilemma for the Warriors. Okay, let's think about the way that got presented. By definition, if they feel it's a dilemma, it already tells you they want to do it. Or else there's no dilemma. If they really believe,
a good point.
If they really believe that Chris is such a great fit,
look at the wordsmith on you.
Future Hall of Famer, and he lineup works with Chris Paul, and I love that he loves phone calls and not texts. If you love him so much, you don't have a dilemma. Just keep him, right?
Steve Kerr, quote, I'm thrilled to coach him. He's one of the greatest competitors I've ever seen. His command of the game, the way he controls the action, his teams tend to get a great shot, possession after possession. He understands what wins.
Bottom line, Mike Dunleavy pulls the trigger on this, and there are 3 people at minimum in his office going, what do we do about the quote that I gave 3 weeks ago that now makes me look like a dunderhead?
Steve, did we lose you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm here.
What do we do? What do we do, Mike? Ray? Come on in here.
Man.
Ray, excuse me.
Ray Ritter.
Could you come down here to door number 5?
Ray.
We need to have a conversation because we just dumped Chris Paul without ever playing a game, and all of us have quotes all over the internet fawning over the guy. So.
It puts the you coaching into a certain different light where actually I'm not coaching and nobody in this organization is coaching you, maybe. Potentially.
Well, again, yeah.
You trading?
It feels like it was a big ruse. That's what it feels like.
And it's still a long way to go between now and he's gone.
Yes, I know. And in fact, like any team right now, it's all unlikely. Every team that wants Jrue Holiday right now, the answer is probably not. And it's true for the Warriors as well. Even if they're the front runner, as Chris Mannix says they might be. That still only puts it at what? 30% chance? Like, it's kind of like Super Bowl odds. They're all of the odds, like the Chiefs and Niners, good odds. It's still less than 50-50 that they're going to win the darn thing, right? Same thing here. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but watch how quickly this wheel is turning. This has gone from, we're on our way in yesterday and Dame Lillard gets traded.
Right.
And 24 hours later, you've got, here's the list of teams who want Jrue Holiday. Here's what it's going to cost. And the Warriors have already got stuff on the internet about how this is a dilemma. Okay, these conversations are happening.
Life
right
comes
now.
at you fast,
Yeah.
Mark. Here's a quote from the Monty piece, and then I do want to go to the phones because people want to weigh in. But this is from Monty, quote, giving up on Chris Paul before he has played a game after shouting that he is the missing piece almost certainly would have players around the league, particularly free agents, to wonder about the integrity of the Warriors. The integrity of the Warriors. This is from Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area.com. That's a big question. If you are, I don't know, Giannis, and we all want Giannis to be a Warrior eventually,
That's
right?
over now.
For now.
You got Lillard.
But whatever,
Yeah.
He's just an example. Or Joel Embiid or any other high-priced, big-time guy when Steph is gone. If you're worried about the, quote, integrity of the Warriors, that ain't good.
That's not good.
That's where we are with the Giants right now.
It ain't good.
No, that ain't good, kid.
Now, it matters more in the NBA than other leagues, I believe, because that's the way NBA free agents are. These are superstars. They don't wear hats. There's only 12 of them on a team, and there's only about 10 to 15 really, really, truly great players in the league, and stuff like that, I think, matters more in this league.
Agreed.
Where it's like, how are you presenting me? In other words, they're saying, yo, I grew up watching Chris Paul, and you all embarrassed him. That's, I think, what they're worried about. It's a fair thing. So 888-957-9570 is the number. Hypes, you'll be first up. Stay where you are. But get online. We'd love to talk all of this out with you. Would it be embarrassing for the Warriors if they did this?